Beyond the individual controversy surrounding Chris Combs, the ripple effects of his lawsuit and abrupt departure from 1000 Love Sisters have sent shockwaves through the entire Slayton family, placing the show's future into uncertain territory, as the absence of a figure so integral to both the family dynamic and the series. Narrative threatens not just the on-screen balance, but also the cohesion of a family that has grown increasingly dependent on his stabilizing presence, with Amy Slayton feeling the most immediate personal impact. As Chris had long been one of her most steadfast allies, a confidant and partner who provided support when the responsibilities of parenting, personal health, and weight loss became overwhelming. Someone who routinely helped her ground herself when emotions ran high, and with his removal from the show, Amy faces the daunting challenge of navigating her ongoing transformation and her daily struggles without the presence of the one sibling who consistently offered guidance, perspective, and the kind of emotional support that extended beyond mere encouragement. While Tammy Slayton, in contrast, confronts an equally precarious scenario in which the absence of Chris, who frequently called her out when she neglected her health and provided the tough love she otherwise might not have received, leaves her more vulnerable to slipping back into old patterns, as some fans fear that without the constructive confrontation and unwavering accountability Chris provided, Tammy may regress in ways that could threaten both her personal well-being and the continuity of her storylines. And although TLC may have perceived Tammy's unpredictable behavior as a ratings booster, many devoted viewers argue that the network is underestimating the stabilizing influence Chris exerted, which not only moderated Tammy's behavior, but also contributed to the relatability and emotional resonance of the show. While the extended family, including siblings Misty and Amanda, also feel the impact of Chris's departure, as his role as mediator frequently prevented conflicts from escalating into full-blown disputes, and without his careful navigation, tensions could intensify, producing moments of drama that might captivate the audience while simultaneously alienating viewers who have grown weary of relentless conflict. And beyond the immediate emotional and interpersonal consequences for the Slayton family, Chris's lawsuit has illuminated the broader, often opaque dynamics between reality television stars and the networks that employ them, exposing weaknesses in the family's relationship with TLC and revealing how far the network is willing to go to safeguard its interests and assert its authority, while simultaneously demonstrating the replaceability of even central cast members, a realization that carries implications for trust, collaboration, and the family's willingness to engage fully with producers moving forward, and from a systemic standpoint. The controversy surrounding Chris highlights a growing shift in how audiences engage with reality television, as viewers increasingly scrutinize the treatment of the celebrities they watch, questioning the ethics of the contracts, the compensation, and the conditions under which these shows are produced. And in this context, Chris's experience functions as a lens through which larger issues in the reality television industry are revealed, encompassing everything from contract transparency and fairness to the human cost of entertainment and the moral obligations of networks toward the individuals whose lives are central to the stories they broadcast. And as the narrative of his departure and the subsequent fan reaction unfolds, three potential futures emerge. One in which TLC doubles down, ignoring criticism and continuing as if nothing had happened, potentially risking further alienation of its core audience. Another in which the family collectively establishes clearer boundaries and safeguards to protect their personal well-being while maintaining participation in the series. And a third in which the cumulative pressures of public scrutiny, internal discord, and creative tension drive lasting changes to the structure, tone, and storytelling of the show, and understanding these dynamics requires a deeper look at the evolution of the Slayton family itself, which, despite its current public image of closeness and solidarity, was not always so tightly knit, as the siblings' early years were marked by a degree of separation, differing parental relationships, and the challenge of finding common ground amidst complex familial structures. With Misty, the eldest sister, having a different father than some of her younger siblings, while Chris and Amanda shared a separate paternal lineage, and Tammy and Amy having their own distinct parental background. Factors that initially complicated the formation of a cohesive family identity and required the siblings to navigate varied loyalties, perspectives, and emotional needs, yet as they matured, shared experiences, and ultimately engaged collectively in the production of 1000 Dablaner Sisters, they cultivated stronger bonds, learning to support one another, mediate conflicts, and share both struggles and triumphs. And although this closeness has brought the family strength, it has also led to blurred boundaries, where intimate personal details, judgments, and emotional reactions are frequently shared on screen in ways that, while compelling to viewers, may not always be healthy for the individuals involved, underscoring the necessity for boundaries that protect personal well-being while preserving familial cohesion. And this dynamic is further complicated by the ongoing transformations of individual family members, particularly Tammy and Amy, whose journeys with weight loss, health interventions, and personal growth form the backbone of the series, with each sister navigating both physical and emotional challenges in ways that are deeply intertwined with their relationships with Chris, Misty, and Amanda. And as fans observe these transformations, they become invested not just in the individual progress of the sisters, but also in the family ecosystem that surrounds and supports them. A system now destabilized by Chris's absence, which leaves unresolved questions about the sustainability of current dynamics, the potential for regressions, and the narrative coherence of future episodes. And amidst this, fans have speculated widely about the continuity of the series itself, with particular focus on whether Tammy's recent milestones, including her dramatic weight loss, skin removal surgery, and personal growth, such as emotional stabilization and her committed relationship with Andrea Dalton, might signal the natural conclusion of her storyline, and, by extension, the series, especially when combined with Amy's developments, including her continued focus on motherhood, personal relationships, and weight management. And while some viewers anticipate the network's continuation of the show, others interpret subtle social media cues, such as Tammy's engagement with fan comments suggesting potential cancellation, as confirmation that her reality television journey may be drawing to a close, raising additional questions about financial viability, personal motivation, and the network's strategic decisions regarding the future of the franchise. And as the narrative unfolds, it becomes apparent that the interplay between public persona, personal transformation, and media representation is central to the reception of the show, with viewers increasingly aware that the storylines presented are filtered through the twin lenses of production imperatives and the lived experiences of the family members themselves. And this tension is exemplified in the trajectories of the extended siblings, particularly Chris, whose own weight loss journey, skin removal surgery, and quiet, disciplined approach to personal improvement contrasts with the more flamboyant and publicly documented journeys of Tammy and Amy, highlighting the diverse ways in which the family navigates health, visibility, and personal agency, and Amanda, whose history of bariatric surgery, weight loss plateau, knee injury, and romantic entanglements contributes both narrative interest and unpredictability, yet whose story, while compelling, risks overshadowing or distracting from the primary arcs of the sisters themselves, reinforcing the viewer sentiment that the show's focus should remain on Tammy and Amy and the careful curation of screen time. Attention and narrative emphasis becomes paramount not just for maintaining audience engagement, but also for respecting the centrality of the sisters' journeys while balancing the rich tapestry of extended family interactions that provide texture and relatability. And as the series progresses, these narrative decisions carry implications for ratings, fan loyalty, and the broader perception of the network, as audiences weigh the authenticity, relevance, and emotional impact of the content against the backdrop of behind-the-scenes tensions, personal struggles, and the evolving relationships between the Slotin siblings, which, despite public dramatization, are grounded in genuine familial love, support, and accountability. And this intricate web of interdependent relationships, personal growth, and network dynamics is now further complicated by the absence of Chris Comas, whose stabilizing presence, humor, guidance, and moral compass have historically served as both narrative glue and emotional anchor. And without him, the series faces a critical juncture in which its ability to sustain compelling storytelling, maintain viewer investment, and honor the authenticity of the family's journey is directly challenged. And this juncture is compounded by the real-world consequences of social media interactions, audience speculation, and the heightened scrutiny of reality television. Chris Comas, long regarded as a steadfast and essential figure on 1000 Elb Sisters, suddenly found himself at the center of a controversy that shook both fans and the reality television industry to its core, revealing a hidden layer of tension and exploitation that had quietly existed behind the cameras for years. As the loyal brother of Amy and Tammy Slaton, He had become the linchpin of the family's public persona, a figure whose humor, honesty, and steadfastness provided balance amidst the chaos, turmoil, and dramatic personal struggles of the Sledden sisters, whose own lives had become a magnet for both viewers and media attention. And while Amy and Tammy often captured headlines with their emotional outbursts, health crises, and personal challenges, it was Chris who maintained the stability of the household, managing conflicts, mediating disputes, supporting his sisters emotionally, and even providing comic relief at moments when the tension threatened to overwhelm the narrative. And yet, despite his pivotal role in the show's success and his contributions that went far beyond what most cast members would be expected to give, Chris alleged that TLC had been systematically withholding a portion of his pay, exploiting his dedication and his central role in driving the series' popularity, leveraging his presence to boost ratings while simultaneously undercompensating him for the work, the time, and the emotional labor he had invested. A claim that sent shockwaves through the fan base and raised uncomfortable questions about the treatment of reality television stars more broadly. As audiences who had come to rely on Chris's voice of reason, humor, and accountability realized that the networks they trusted to present authentic stories might have been engaging in practices designed to maximize profit at the expense of those who created the content, and it was in this climate that Chris made the difficult decision to take legal action, filing a lawsuit against TLC that alleged the network had constructed contracts that disproportionately favored the company while binding cast members to conditions that limited their financial freedom and ability to negotiate fair compensation, highlighting what he believed to be a systemic issue affecting not just him, but many other reality television participants who had long been